Welcome back to Heart of the Shore, the podcast from Love of Humanity, where we talk about what matters most to families in Monmouth County, New Jersey, and across the Garden State. I'm your host from Love of Humanity, and today we're doing something a little different. We're going to talk about what it looks like to show up, to volunteer, to give a few hours a month, or a Saturday morning, or even just an afternoon to a neighbor, or a cause, or a community effort right here in your own backyard. And I'll be honest with you, when people hear the word volunteer, a lot of them feel two things at once. They feel a pull, because most of us want to help, and they feel a wall, because they don't know where to start, they don't know who needs help, and they worry they don't have enough time, enough skills, or enough money to do it right. So let's take those walls down, one at a time, because the truth is, volunteering in New Jersey has never been easier to find, and the need has never been more visible. Let me start with the big picture. New Jersey has one of the most organized volunteer infrastructures in the country. That's not an exaggeration. The Governor's Office on Volunteerism funds a network called the Association of New Jersey Volunteer Centers, and it serves as the state's virtual volunteer center. If you live in New Jersey and you want to do something meaningful with a few hours of your time, there is a system built specifically to help you find that thing. It just depends on knowing where to look. Let's start with the easiest door, NJ 211. If you've ever picked up the phone in a crisis, whether it was housing, utilities, food, or family services, you probably already know about 211. It's a statewide helpline, free, confidential, available 24 hours a day. But here's something fewer people know. NJ 211 also runs a volunteer opportunities page on their website at nj211.org/volunteer-opportunities. And from that single page, you can access almost every major volunteer network in the state. NJ 211 points you to three main places to start. The first is your local United Way chapter, which in our region means the United Way of Monmouth and Ocean counties. The second is Jersey Cares, a nonprofit that maintains a statewide volunteer calendar covering everything from one-time events to ongoing commitments. And the third, for folks over 55, is Senior Corps, which includes programs like Senior Companions, Foster Grandparents, and RSVP. Each of these is designed to match you with something that fits your schedule, your skills, and what you actually want to do. Let me talk about United Way of Monmouth and Ocean counties for a minute, because that's our local network. Their volunteer portal is set up like a matchmaking platform. You go in, you tell them what you're interested in, and they connect you with projects that need people. They have opportunities for individuals who want to give a few hours here and there. They have opportunities for groups, like a workplace team or a faith community that wants to volunteer together. They have family-friendly projects, so you can bring your kids and teach them what service looks like. And they have opportunities specifically designed for youth, which matters a lot because volunteering as a teenager shapes a lifetime of civic habits.
They also list in-kind donation needs. This is important. Sometimes the most useful thing you can do isn't showing up with your hands. It's dropping off diapers or canned goods or winter coats that a nonprofit has been trying to stock for months. In-kind donations are a real form of volunteering, and they often plug the gaps that money can't fill quickly enough. Jersey Cares is another one I want to highlight. They run a volunteer calendar that covers the entire state, and they focus on making it easy to commit without a long application process. You browse the calendar, you pick a project, you show up. That's it. They organize annual events, seasonal collection drives, and corporate service programs for companies that want to do team volunteer days. If you've ever wanted to try volunteering without feeling locked into a recurring commitment, Jersey Cares is probably the lowest friction place to start. Now, there's another category of volunteering I want to spend some time on because it's one of the most overlooked: disaster response. If you live in New Jersey, and especially if you live along the shore, you already know this. Storms happen, floods happen, heat waves, snow events, power outages, and bigger disasters that stretch communities thin. When those things hit, the volunteer infrastructure that kicks in is usually coordinated by a few specific organizations: FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency; New Jersey Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster, known as NJ VOAD; and the American Red Cross. NJ 211 points people toward all three of these when disaster volunteering comes up. And here's what's important to understand. You don't sign up during the disaster. You sign up before. These organizations train volunteers in advance, so that when something happens, there's a bench of prepared people ready to deploy. If you've ever watched a news story about a hurricane or a flood and thought, I wish I could help, the answer is to get trained now. The Red Cross has courses. NJ VOAD has member organizations across the state. FEMA has a community emergency response team, CERT, that gives you the basics of emergency response at the neighborhood level. This matters for our community because Monmouth County sits on the coast. We've seen what Superstorm Sandy did. We've seen what nor'easters can do. We've seen heat waves stress older residents and families who can't afford to run the AC. The volunteer teams that responded to all of those events were made up of people who had trained before it happened. Let me shift to another group that gets overlooked: older adults. If you're over 55 and you're wondering whether there's still a place for you in the volunteer world, the answer is absolutely yes. And the federal government actually set up programs specifically for you. Senior Corps, now part of AmeriCorps, runs 3 programs: Senior Companions, pairs adults over 55 with elderly or homebound neighbors who need a little help, a ride to a doctor's appointment, a weekly check-in, or just company. Foster Grandparents connects older adults with children who need one-on-one mentorship, reading buddies, tutoring support. And RSVP, the Retired and Senior Volunteer Program, is more flexible. You can volunteer anywhere from a few hours a week to full-time, and whatever cause fits your life.
These programs aren't just a way to give back. They're also shown in the research to help with loneliness, depression, and cognitive health for the volunteers themselves. Volunteering is medicine. That's not a metaphor. Studies consistently find that people who volunteer regularly, especially in later life, report higher life satisfaction and lower rates of isolation-related health issues. Okay, so I've given you a lot of doors: NJ 211, United Way of Monmouth and Ocean Counties, Jersey Cares, Senior Corps, the American Red Cross, NJ VOAD, FEMA, CERT. That's a lot to process. So let me give you a practical way to think about it. If you have one free hour this week, go to nj211.org/volunteer-opportunities. Read through the top of the page. Pick one organization that catches your attention. Click the link. Look at 3 opportunities. That's it. You've done more than most people ever do. If you have a few free hours this month, check the Jersey Cares volunteer calendar. Pick one event. Put it on your calendar the way you would a doctor's appointment or a kid's soccer game. Show up. See what it feels like. You don't have to commit to anything long-term. One event, one afternoon, no pressure. If you have more time, or if you're newly retired, or if you've been looking for something meaningful after a life change, go deeper. Talk to United Way of Monmouth and Ocean Counties about their volunteer center. Ask about projects that match your skills. If you're a retired teacher, there are tutoring programs begging for help. If you're a retired nurse, there are clinics and wellness programs that need your expertise. If you're a contractor, there are nonprofits that need help with facility projects. Your professional skills have enormous value to nonprofits that can't afford to hire for them. And here's the last thing I want to say, and this is the love of humanity perspective. Volunteering isn't just about filling a need. It's about building the relationships that hold communities together. When a hurricane hits, the neighborhoods that recover fastest are the ones where people knew each other before the storm. When a family loses a parent or a job, the people who show up are the ones who were already connected. When a senior can't get to the grocery store, the help they receive comes from networks that were built in the quiet, ordinary months before the crisis. Volunteering is how you become part of that network. It's how you make sure that when someone in your community needs help, there's a web of people ready to answer. And yes, that web protects others, but it also protects you. It protects your family. It protects the place you live. So here's our challenge to you this week. Do one small thing. Look up one volunteer opportunity in Monmouth County, sign up for one newsletter, drop off one bag of canned goods at a food pantry, introduce yourself to one neighbor you haven't met. None of these require money, none of them require a big time commitment, but every single one of them makes your community stronger. And here's the last thing I want to say, and this is the love of humanity perspective. Volunteering isn't just about filling a need. We're working on programs that connect families to energy assistance, food security resources, and climate resilience support. We welcome volunteers, especially people with local knowledge of Monmouth County and the shore communities.
Thank you for spending this time with us. Share this episode with someone who's been looking for a way to plug in. Subscribe wherever you listen. And remember, the biggest gift most of us can give isn't money. It's our time, our attention, and the willingness to show up. Until next time, this is Heart of the Shore. Take care of each other out there.